Google Wave is the most exciting and interesting web application that's ever been created. Ever, in my opinion. And I'm here today because I wanted to tell you a little bit about why I think that is. If you're here at the Expo, you've definitely heard about Google Wave. Maybe you watched the 80-minute demo video that came out over the summer. Maybe you dropped off at minute 7. Maybe you put your email address in to get an invite. Maybe you did get an invite, and you logged into Wave, and you looked at it, and you said, this is cool. I don't really know anybody here. Logged off and never looked at it again. Maybe you got into Google Wave, and you're as hooked on it as I am. If you did, and you're logged into Wave right now, I invite you to do a search for public waves, tag W2E. You can do that with /public, tag W2E. I started one last night, and there are a few other Expo attendees here that are waving right there, right in there, so you can wave during this talk and later. For the last 4 years, up until this January, I ran a site called lifehacker.com that was dedicated to software and productivity. And in my time there, I reviewed hundreds, probably thousands of web applications, productivity web applications, desktop software, GTD apps, project management tools, collaboration tools. And we live in this incredible time. The web has just got so many amazing things going on. It was a few years back, but do you all remember how you felt the first time that you looked at Google Maps and at Gmail? The first time that you kind of panned and zoomed and was just like, oh my God, I can't believe this is possible in a browser. This is how I feel about Google Wave, but kind of 10 times that. But what I was hearing from most people was that, I don't get it. What is Wave? I don't understand what it is. I don't understand how it fits into my workflow. So even though I kind of swore that I'd never write another tech book, I had this irresistible compulsion to document every single thing that I know about Wave. And I did so at completewaveguide.com. It's everything I know how to do in Wave, and I hope you'll check it out. It's a book. It's a work in progress. It's free to read online, and as of today, this morning, I'm happy to say there's a PDF download available as well. So let me tell you a little bit about why Wave, or how Wave won my heart. The things about it that I find most exciting. I'm not really going to go into the nuts and bolts of how to use Wave. You're all smart people, and we'll talk a little bit about that later on. But first I want to talk about sort of big picture, like what I'm so excited about Wave. And I should start by saying, I'm a developer, and I'm a writer, and I'm a work-at-homer, and I think that those 3 roles kind of really put me square in the crosshairs of Wave's Cupid arrow. The thing I love the most about Wave is it's just so ambitious in its breadth and depth. I mean, one of its biggest problems is you can't sum up in a sentence what Wave really is because it's so many things. I mean, the Wave team pulled out all the stops. They said, you know what, we're going to take all the best features from web applications that you know, from wikis, from blogs, from collaborative text editors like Sabitha Edit, from Instant Messenger, from source control systems, and we're going to put it all into a real-time collaborative workspace. Not only is the product open source, and not only do you have this kind of live, real-time, wow, I can't believe you can do this interface, Wave is a protocol that anyone can develop against. So anyone can create a server implementation or a client implementation. If Wave adoption, does go widespread, and I'm not sure if it's going to, but I'm placing my bets that it will, we'll be lucky to see a proliferation of clients the way we see for Twitter and maybe even server implementations. Wave's design and the ambition behind it is bold to almost the point of obnoxious, honestly, in some places. If you've logged into Wave, you've probably seen that they've even changed the way a scroll bar works. I mean, they really pulled out all the stops. And you also notice, and this is also a really bold move, especially that it might thwart adoption, Wave requires HTML5. Internet Explorer doesn't support HTML5. So the most widely used browser on the web, if you go to Wave, it'll say, hey, why don't you try Chrome, Firefox, Safari, or you can install this thing called Chrome Frame. I love Wave. I'm not so sure about this decision to sacrifice backwards compatibility, but they were very bold and very ambitious and very forward-thinking. And I'm trying to, sorry about that. This is the thing about Wave that I love. Even though it is a little obnoxious to lock out Internet Explorer users, I love that it's so forward-thinking and that it's pushing the web forward and that it's asking users to create a new paradigm. And this is the other thing that I love about Wave as a power user. I'm a power user. Everyone here is a power user. I don't like this whole thing, this whole like apps for dummies thing. I mean, I'm not defending complexity for complexity's sake, and I do think it's up to the application developers to take the onus off the user. But at the same time, like, Wave is a tool that's not meant to be, you're not meant to learn how to use Wave in an afternoon. It's not a perfect analogy, but I think about Wave like Photoshop. No one sits down with Photoshop and thinks that they're going to know how to use Photoshop in total in an afternoon. And Wave is unapologetic about this. Lars Rasmussen, who's the lead developer at on Wave, said, this is not a tool that you're supposed to kind of grok in an afternoon. There's a little bit of a learning curve. So let's talk about what Wave is and what it isn't. You really can't sum up Wave in a sentence. But the Wave team needed to do so during their launch. And so what they said is, Wave is what email would be were it invented today. OK? OK. That's really good, a little bit oversimplified, really good media bait. You're going to see that story run. Google's reinventing email. That's huge news. A little bit oversimplified, but the email was invented in the late 1960s, before the internet and before the web. And in fact, it was a crucial tool in the creation of the internet and of the web, but it really hasn't changed much. And the thing about email that's important to keep in mind and understand is it's a messaging paradigm. It's based on the idea of postal mail. You write a letter, you write an email, you send it to someone, it gets saved in your sent box, it arrives into your recipient's inbox. That person replies, emails back, another copy in their sent box, another copy in your inbox. And that simple email exchange, there are 3 or 4 copies of the message that reside on different servers, in different versions, and in different states. Google Wave treats conversations as documents. It's a single hosted, a conversation is a single hosted document, which is much more the Web 2.0 way, right? You connect to the server, people edit that one place at one time. So there aren't different copies and versions stored everywhere, and it all looks the same. Well, right now there's only one Wave client, so it all looks the same. We all know that there are lots of different email clients, so things look very different. So to me, I would say, if you had to ask the question, is Wave Gmail on steroids? Is Wave Google Docs on steroids? For people who know what they're talking about, and we all do, Wave is really document collaboration reinvented versus email reinvented. And that paradigm shift to like documents as conversations is the big leap that users have to make. Editing a Word document is a very different activity than answering your email, and Wave conflates those two things into a single workspace. Adding to Wave's identity crisis, it's a development platform. You can extend Wave using bots and gadgets with the 2 flavors of Wave extensions. So really, Wave can do anything that a gadget or bot can do. So suddenly you have this multi-tool that does everything and is nothing in particular. So this is part of kind of the problem of explaining Wave or showing Wave or telling people why they should use Wave. Thing is that Wave, I don't believe that Wave is going to be an email killer. I don't think that you're going to wake up in the morning in 5 years and grab your iPhone or your BlackBerry or you get on your computer and check your Wave inbox the way that you do right now with your email inbox. I do think that Wave will cannibalize a lot of email's functionality, and I do think that Wave is particularly good for certain kinds of tasks. So let's talk about when Wave does work best. The problem with the invitation-only preview with Wave is this. Somebody sends you an invitation, you log in, and like the only person on your contacts list is the person who invited you, right? So you have no one to Wave with except for that person. So you're like, well, I mean, a social tool, a communications tool is only as good as the people who have it. It'd be like if you had a phone and none of your friends did. If you do a little reading, if you can get over that hump and you do a little reading, you find out, oh, I can find public Waves where everybody who's on Wave can be on. If you do a search for with:public in the search box, you can see Waves that everybody's into. So then you get into this giant sea of Waves with like hundreds of people communicating on them. There's cursors moving, there's branches happening, there's gadgets and bots crashing and slowing down the Wave, and the whole thing is really confusing and overwhelming. This is the thing about Wave. You have to use it in small groups of people who you work with in sort of an agreeable manner. So the book that I wrote on Wave, The Complete Guide to Google Wave, it was my co-author, Adam Pash, and I, and our team worked together. There was 6 of us. And in the course of 4 weeks, we put together, a 100-page manuscript. Now, we didn't write the book in Wave. Wave is a little too unstable for that just yet. But all the behind-the-scenes decisions, the style guide, copy editing, business decisions, all that stuff all happened in Wave. And it was incredible. It was so fast. We were in different cities and getting on at different times. It was so fast. And the ability to reply in line to different points worked so well. This week, we're like in week 6 or 7 of the project, one of us sent out an email for some reason. Sometimes Wave goes down, and we got into this really long email thread, and it went on. And then finally somebody said, can we please just take this to Wave? And I was like, oh, yes, please, let's get back in Wave. You really start to, when you're working with a small group that has to have complex conversations, Wave is it. Wave is also a fantastic tool for collaborative writing. Now, not everybody in this room is a book author, but we all write for a living. If you're in a meeting and people are taking notes, Wave is a fantastic way for several people to take notes collaboratively, or high school students to take notes together. Updating status reports. If you have a series of questions about a certain project, if something is going through reviews, Wave is a great place to do it because you can reply in line, because you can edit someone else's text in Wave. Wave is also fantastic for non-linear conversations, for threaded conversations. So the editorial team and I at Lifehacker, we used to spend our whole day in Campfire, which is a fantastic 37 Signals product. It's a web-based group chat, which I'm sure lots of you here have used. The thing about Campfire, it's super simple, and I love 37 Signals for their simple products, which are probably the antithesis of Wave now that I think about it. But every new message that you posted would just be on the same weight as the message before it. So it was this linear kind of rolling thing. And if you have several people in the room, I would be addressing John, and John would be addressing Adam, and it would get confusing. You couldn't tell, the conversation didn't go in the right flow. So Wave works really well because you can reply in line and have threaded conversations that follow. It's like a tree that has different branches. That's really confusing when you have 150 people on a public Wave and that's all happening at the same time. But in a small group, it's fantastic. I got only 3 minutes left. I always find that show works better than just tell. So I'm going to zip through just a couple of screenshots of Wave for the folks that haven't gotten into Wave yet. Here's a use case of Wave project management. This is a screenshot from the book production, a book production Wave. On the far left column, you can see the navigation inbox. The middle column is a save search for the tag that we all agreed on in Wave. So in Gmail, your email client, you have folders that no one else can see. In Wave, there are tags, and anybody can see the tag. So like Delicious or Flickr, you can sort Waves by tag. So we agreed on a tag, and that's a list of Waves in the tag. On the far right is a single Wave that myself and my coworkers were working on. You can see a couple of inline replies on the top right. On the bottom right, you can see the yes, no, maybe gadget, which is a rich piece of content that you can add to a Wave and ask a simple question with a yes, no, maybe answer, and tally, and the participants on the Wave can vote, and it'll tally results. Photo sharing, another great thing that Wave is good at, and you probably saw this in the Google demo video. If you've got Google Gears installed, and yes, Google is pushing their products with Wave. Chrome, Gears, you really want for drag and drop. Chrome, it's particularly good in. If you drag and drop images into Wave, they show thumbnails like on the left side. If you click that images button, you can kick in a slideshow mode, which is the one shown on the right side. A couple more examples of some interactive content. I mentioned quickly that you can make gadgets for Wave. They're like widgets for your dashboard or an Vista or Microsoft desktop widgets. You can do the same thing out in Wave. On the left side, we have a Google map. And because the Wave team is formally of the Maps team, the map actually a gadget in Wave is particularly good. If you and I are on a Wave together and I put a map in there and I start to zoom and pan, you can see my movements as I make them real time. On the right side, there's the Ribbit conference gadget, which is a really cool third-party gadget that Google features. You drop that into Wave, you say, we all need to get on the phone about this. Typing together at the same time doesn't work. You enter your phone number, no one else sees it, you push the start conference call, all your phones ring, and you're on the phone. Revision playback. Wave has a very strong programmer sensibility, so this is going to be familiar to people who use source control. You can go through the different states of a Wave and see it develop over time. And if you want to restore a past version, you can choose that copy to new Wave option and add the contents of an old version to a new Wave. If you're on Wave, I hope you'll wave me, Gina Trapani at googlewave.com, and I hope you'll check out the book, CompleteWaveGuide.com. Let me know what I got wrong, what you think, what I should add, and thank you so much for your time today.